Hey there, beautiful people. Thank you all so very much for joining me for another video. If you are new to this channel, welcome to this very loving community. And as always, I hope that I share something that helps each and every one of you continue to soar high above the fray. Today, I want to address a question that I'm often asked by survivors, and it really breaks my heart that anyone would feel this way. However, I understand, and I've been there. The question is, why does it appear that the narcissist is treating the new supply better? They're giving this person everything that you've asked for, that you desired, and it seems they're a new person. They're loving someone now. That person loves them, so it seems. But here's something that you may have forgotten. What you received was something someone else wanted. It's all a game to the narcissist. They don't feel any better with the next person than they did with you. Everything is about getting something from someone to make them feel better, to regulate their emotions. And so they're going to do whatever they have to do. So what you did in that relationship is told them all of the things your heart desires. I love this, I love that. And now they're taking that to the next person. Fear is what they want from you, and they want you to continue to chase after them. This is all a part of their whole game to get supply. So to get supply from you, they must show you that, oh, I heard you, I knew what you want, but I didn't want to give it to you. And so you stay stuck in this place of, maybe it was me. I've done something wrong. And so now this person knows how to behave. They've moved on to the next person. And the next person is like, everything is great. But we know it's not. I want to answer this question. I've answered it before in another video, and I'll drop the link down below because I had pictures there when I showed everyone when I was the new supply. My ex was with his ex-wife for 16 years. And it was 16 years, according to what his daughter puts on social media. And what the ex-wife has told me is that it was 16 years of pure hell and trauma. So 16 years with her, moves on with me. And it seems from a distance that he's all about doing everything for me. I remember her reaching out to me one time asking if I felt good about him buying gifts for me for Christmas and birthdays and stuff and not buying anything for his children. And I was like, what are you talking about? I see him with his children all the time. I didn't understand or know what was going on then. And, but really deep down inside, I was like, well, he doesn't really buy me anything. And I feel kind of off in this relationship, but I'm not going to tell her that. I'm not going to say that to her because maybe it's just me. That's how I felt when I was approached by this woman. So I just say, you know what? I've not seen that, and I just disconnect. I didn't want to have a conversation with her. There was no disrespect there. She felt I was disrespectful because I didn't want to have a conversation with her, but I just chose not to. But her looking over at that relationship, she thought, oh my, he's turned into this great person. He's treating her well, treating us terrible, but treating her well. And, maybe it was me. She would call and text him frequently with crying and trying to reach out. And, he would share these things with me and I would feel terrible. As an empathic person, you feel terrible when you know other people are hurting. So I always felt terrible. I felt like I didn't want to push our relationship out in front because I don't want another person hurting. Because at that time, I didn't know anything about narcissistic abuse or what was going on. I just thought maybe this is someone who can't move on, and I wouldn't want to be that person. And so here it is. She's looking. She's distraught. The kids are going back to tell her that all of these things that are happening, between their dad and I, and that, everything seems to be okay and going good. And dad's, always in her face and always, got her over there and all of this stuff. And just tearing her to shreds. This is what he wanted. This is what your ex wants for you. Meanwhile, here's what I was feeling as the new supply. On day one, actually, when I first started talking to him, he found me on social media. So my ex and I, here's a little history real quick since we're doing a premiere on this one. My ex and I met in high school. He would watch me every single day in high school. I knew it. I knew no one had to tell me that this person was interested in me. He was staring at me all the time, following me, doing all the stuff that boys do, hitting me, just acting really weird. And so one day he worked up the nerve to ask me first he asked me if I would marry him. I said no. Then he asked me if I would go out with him, and I said no. So I said no because boyfriends wasn't really a thing that was allowed in my home life, and that's another discussion. So I didn't really want to do the boyfriend thing. It just wasn't a thing I wanted to do, and so there you have it. So I had known him previously. He found me on Facebook. They use social media to study you. Keep that in mind. So he studied me, reached out, and then we started. No, actually, yeah, he reached out, sent me a friend request, and then I asked how he was doing because I remembered. And that's how we started talking. Well, not too long into the conversation of back and forth messages, I had to hear about how he had this terrible ex-wife who had taken all of his money and mistreated him, and he's just trying to get, things together. And it moved from her, not doing so well with him and taking advantage of him. Of course, I felt bad, like, oh my gosh, this poor guy. And I had left a relationship where someone had, misused me too. And so I was like, oh my, I can connect with this and everything. And so he used her victim card. She was the victim. He used her story to tell to me as his own story. So I felt sorry for him. And of course, we started talking. But the whole time he's talking terribly about her. He's setting up to make sure that I don't feel any kind of way about reaching out to her. Well, at that time, I wasn't a huge social media person. So blocking and all of that was just not anything that came to my mind. I could care less. And I don't really take the word of other people about someone else because I always know from being in a relationship like that before that there's two sides to a story. So I moved forward with dating him, knowing that, okay, I'm sure there's more to this story, but he seems like life is good for him. He's doing good. Hey, he has a job, which is, today it's a bunch of them that don't. So he has a job and, a career. And so, why not? He's divorced, trying to move forward. And this is what I thought about him at the time, not knowing that all of this talk about the ex-wife was a whole setup against her and to triangulate me and her together, So from the beginning, when we went on our first date, was, moving and touching, and, we went there. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Some of you feel sort of maybe ashamed to say that, but that was something I had never done before, but I did. And so this person from that point forward had started acting in a way from day one that made me feel very uncomfortable. But for some reason, because I had been alone for a couple years, maybe almost 2 years at that point, that I was like, well, I don't have any other option. In the same trap, getting ready to repeat the same thing I just got out of. And so here I am, the new supply. Got out of a relationship that was just terrible. Getting ready to get into another one. Can feel all of the vibes and red flags. Had no clue, no knowledge, no therapy, nothing. Of course, I wasn't going to show that something was wrong with this relationship that was starting up. I was going to pretend to be happy because I knew how to do that. I'd done it 11 years before. So I'm like, okay, well, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I don't really like this, but let's keep trying it. Just, we don't get it until we wake up. So I kept moving forward in that relationship. And second date, third date, as we kept going, it just got worse and worse. Then there were the friends, the female friends who were introduced into it. And the fact that they're friends now, but they used to like have something of some interest together. One of them he was really infatuated with. That's what I got. I remember going to his house. Y'all, if I think about the stories that I tell, that I didn't show signs as a new supply. I went to his house one day. He knew I was coming. I had my kids. We were supposed to do something together. I can't remember what it was. And one of the friends that he was obsessed with, she's like a mix. He's really obsessed with mixed people. So I think she's like Asian and black mixed or something like that. Not that that matters, but hey, I'm throw that in there too. And so he goes to her house to fix some bed or something, knowing that I was going to come over. So I'm waiting there like 45 minutes. I put up with so much crap. I'm just really embarrassed to talk about this. So coming back to the new supply. The new supply might be embarrassed. And like, I'm just going to keep trying it. Maybe it'll get better, because they don't have enough sense, like I didn't in the beginning, to see that they're about to repeat the same cycle that more than likely they just came out of themselves. And so you're looking from afar thinking that, oh my gosh, they're moving along happily. This person seems to be calm. They seem to be in love. And the narcissist is painting this whole illusion, which is what my ex was doing while he was triangulating me with other people and with his ex-wife. I just wasn't the type to reach out and be toxic with other people and, lash out at people. And so there was no way to know. I was quiet. I didn't post on social media. That's just not me. I'm kind of private. And plus I was ashamed that I think that I've made a really bad decision with this person. I was in shame for a year and a half with that person. So I didn't talk much about him. I didn't post much about him. So during this time, there are pictures throughout their family gatherings. I went to a big wedding for their family, all of the holidays. So there's pictures of me floating around everywhere with everyone. And if you are the new supply looking, I was always smiling. I looked like I was having a good time, that I fit in, and it was just, I was the perfect person for him. People would compliment us. They would say things out loud. Friends, all of his old friends started coming around, and they were just happy. They would talk to me. Their wives were, connecting with me. And it just seemed like I was the perfect person for him. But I wasn't. And I was not happy. The new supply is not happy. They are doing the same old crap that they were doing with you. They're just taking them to different places, telling them different stories. No biggie. They're going to do the same thing. It's going to be up to that person to stick around. So because I wasn't a person who lashed out and I wasn't really getting the job done like my ex wanted me to with his ex-wife. I mean, he really wanted to put her in her place and let her know, that he didn't need her for anything. He needed her for everything. He needed her for everything. She did everything around that house. Now, that woman was shysty and did some, ended up at court with him and everything. But I know what a traumatized person, how you can be manipulated into doing stuff. So, anyway, he wanted to put her in her place, to let her know he didn't need her. Now he has someone smarter who's more educated and, all of this kind of stuff, and prettier and, whatever. And these are the things that he said, because I don't look at her and think, oh, I'm prettier than she is. Who cares? But he needed her. Many of you were with them for years. They need you. He couldn't answer half the questions I would ask him about his life, finances, or anything. He had to call her. This was a huge red flag for me. I was like, okay, well, I thought that she was terrible. And she had done all these things. And so I started asking him questions like, okay, if she was so bad, I'm just confused why you don't know anything about your life, why you had absolutely no control over any of this. And you're calling her to ask her, and you don't know. I'm like, okay, well, she wasn't too bad. And he hated when I said that. I would say that all the time. Well, she wasn't too bad. Sometimes a new supply is not talking bad about you. They're feeding the narc back the stuff that the narc is saying about you. I was that person, which I think was why it really hurt my feelings to see this woman show up to court with him after telling me all the horrible things he had done to her. But it's neither here nor there. Because every time he would say something bad about her, I would say, well, at some point you loved her because you ended up with her and stayed for 16 years. And so why are we talking about it? It would get on my nerves. And that's the other thing that's happening to the new supply. They don't want to hear about you anymore. And the narcissist will just keep finding ways to put it in. Whether it's like, oh, so-and-so used to make my favorite dish. My narc did. My narc. I don't ever say that. The ex-sociopath did that. Oh, yeah, the only thing she could cook was such and such and such. And so I made it one day. I was like, oh, he likes it. I didn't feel a need to be competition, but this is what he did. He said, oh, you're trying to make it and so you can make it better than her, huh? And I was like, no, you said you like this. And so I cooked this. Like, it really didn't cross my mind that, oh, I'm going to make this dish better than this woman. So he couldn't find a way to get me to lash out at her or to be in competition with her or to be against her with him. And so so he sent me a text message that she had sent where she was sexting. And I was like, oh, that's where we draw the line. So that was the thing that got me going. And then I reached out. Some of them will reach out to you in a very toxic way. The person he moved on to is very toxic, and I'll talk about that when they hook up with other narcissistic people. Excuse me, my hair's in my eye. But so I reached out to her. I wasn't disrespectful. I just asked her to respect our relationship, and we just both went there kind of, but we didn't cuss each other out, call each other out our names, any of that toxic stuff that I had to experience as the former supply with the new supply that he moved on with. So sometimes the new supply is ashamed, confused, asleep. And so they're going to keep pretending, because who wants to get into a relationship and immediately notice that something is really off about this person and admit that? No one's going to want to do that. So you're not going to see it. You're not going to see the abuse taking place. And that person's probably not going to say anything to you. But eventually when they do reach out to you, or, if you look at them and they start to look drained from the beginning to where they're at now, then the narcissist is doing the same stuff. But you don't even need to see that, because you went through it. That person hurt you. They're toxic. Toxic people don't change. Some of them do, I guess, if they want to. But I mean, it's very rare that an extremely toxic narcissistic person changes. And so they're not any different. I don't want you to believe that. That is a lie to invalidate all of the things that you went through. That is an illusion painted to project all of that that too, all of that shame and guilt onto you. That's all it is. The entire illusion is about you. I just made the video about the narcissist being obsessed with you. Their next relationship is all about you. That's what's so crazy about it. They want to prove to you, they think that in their minds that you're really paying attention. And some of us are in the beginning. They really think that you're paying that much attention to them, that you noticed everything that's going on and that's changing, and you're looking at every little detail. And so they're going to paint the picture that they want you to see, because they want you to know they don't need you. They can do it by themselves. That's kind of like, and I don't like comparing them to children. Now, that thing children do. They like to, especially when they get about 5 or 6, I can do it. I can do it. And that's kind of the thing that's happening with the narcissist. I can do this on my own. I can do it. Or a teenager, like, I don't need you to help me. I don't need you to tell me anything. I know everything. it's very immature behavior. And so when you're immature, you're trying to show and prove to other people. So the narcissist's next relationship is to prove to you, this is how much power you really have that you don't realize you have over that narcissist. That narcissist cannot regulate their own emotions. They depend on other people. They can't be alone. You can be alone. You just don't want to be alone with pain. But many people don't mind being alone and having their space. But they cannot. They can't do it. They are void of personality. They don't have, the gifts and talents that they have are things that they copy from other people. They are gifted with manipulation. So, if there's somewhere where they can manipulate people, well, they're going to be at the top of their game. They move far and high up the ladder. They suck in everything else. But manipulating, if there's a job that requires some type of manipulation, they're going to be at the top. So, no, the narcissist didn't move on to be happier with the new supply. The new supply is miserable. Guaranteed. Y'all, if I had all the money in the world, I'd drop it on the table to double it right now. Because we could be flies and go in the house and we would see it all. You remember, this is why I put it, when I had that thought, like, would he treat this person better? And then I remembered all of the horrible things that he had done and the lying and then the smearing and taking me to court. And I was like, oh, absolutely not. Remember when I was the new supply, and that's what he did to me. So they don't get better. In fact, they probably get worse. Now, let's take it to when they hook up with another narcissist. Ooh-wee. So the circus is real. The illusion painted before you is something to see. They're going to add fireworks and colorful words and, all kinds of toxic, nasty behavior and lying and manipulating. I mean, it's a double dose that you might be looking at. This is why no contact is so important. No contact with these people. No contact with anyone that knows them. Because if they hook up with another narcissist, I believe they do it on purpose. And it's usually when that super empathic person gets away from them and they know that that person is probably going to open their mouth. I believe that my ex chose a super toxic person and studied to make sure he picked the right one, because I know he knew I was going to say something. Eventually, I was going to run my mouth. And so he saw how I stood up for people at work and, joined unions, and I was always speaking and fighting for other people. And yeah, I'm going to have to do this one. I'm going to have to find somebody on my level who's willing to get down in the mud so we can really try and take her down. But they're not really intelligent. And usually when they pick another one, they're even dumber than the narcissist that you dealt with. So you have two really stupid people who are together and still are no match to the super empath. So when you're dealing with this, these people will try to come in your face. That toxic new person, they'll try to follow you around. They'll get their friends and family to come. And the narcissist already knows this. They've already studied the toxic behavior of this person. And plus, very low vibrating people, they know each other. So when it's time to fight or hate on somebody, they can get together and just really get down in the mud. And you, as a boss, you just look at them and walk away. Like, I'm not doing that. And so some of you are dealing with that. And that person's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I made a little clip of video, a clip of how the new supply approached me. Like, he ain't know of you. She sent me this letter, this note, after stalking me on social media with her and her daughter and her friends. Sends me a letter about she don't know what I'm talking about. I need to be quiet. I need to do this. I need to do that and be this and be that. I mean, every other word I was a bee. And not a flying bee, a bitch. And every moment, I should post that letter. But you know what? I don't have time for that kind of petty. But each time my response to her, until I decided, why am I responding to this village idiot, was, you know what? God bless you. I hope you're right. I didn't respond back with be this, be that. I didn't call her out of her name. I was like, I cannot stoop to that level. I can't. I'm too old for that and dealt with too much. And so finally my last stand was her, well, God bless you. I hope, I hope you're right. Hope you're right. She's spewing constantly all the lies and trying to project all of his crap onto me, and then even her own, deflecting, not answering any questions. I answered every question. She asked, why did you call? Why did you come by here? Why did you do that? I said, oh, I did that. I said that. I said, oh yeah, I did, because that person that you're with, and then, I think I told her about what happened. She didn't want to hear that. I think you're a lying bitch. And, so you might get that one that, you just want to know what we got going. You just want to know this and you just want to know that. And it's like, my gosh, could you just be any dumber? So that person, they might fake it, but they are in for a rude awakening. Now, whether or not you care to see what happens with that relationship, that's on you. I have no idea what they're doing. I could care less, because, baby, I know how it turned out for me. I know how it turned out for his ex-wife. I know how it turned out for the person before his ex-wife, all the women in between that have contacted me, the cousins that have told me all the tea. And so I don't need any more information to know that this person is going to continue to be toxic and disgusting, just like they were with everyone else. And this is what it comes down to, you guys. They're going to continue to be just as toxic. If they get with someone who's just as toxic as they are, let them stay together. Don't feel like you're missing something. You want the very best for your life. That person didn't give you the best for your life. Now you've got your light back. People are telling you that you're glowing and, growing, and they're so proud of you, and, ooh, you can do it. And, you got people in your corner supporting you now, and your life is working smoothly. You got peace. You do not want that. I don't care what they're doing. They could take them to Mars. Who cares? You ain't going. You go up there and then they do something crazy to you in Mars. You turn into something that you ain't never seen before. So, no. They're not treating them better. They're just not. And I want you to find the peace in knowing that you got away because God has a perfect plan for your life. He has something so beautiful for you. And those of you who say, I want to be in a good relationship, a healthy relationship, make yourself healthy so that you can join together with another healthy person. Saying healthy doesn't mean you're perfect. I'm not saying perfect, but you acknowledge that, hey, I got some things I'm trying to work through, and I'm willing to connect with another person who's working through and just trying to really make the very best of life. You deserve that. God can give you that. There are good people out here. Maybe we have to, get rid of any of the shallow things that lead us into relationships. Work on those things, fast and pray and whatever works for you. Do it. But you are free now. Don't allow that person's ridiculous lies to put you in a cage, because it ain't real, baby. It ain't real. Anyway, I know this was long, but we're going to be chatting in the premiere. I had recorded this video before and I was like, no. I went back. I said, no, I got to add a little more to that. And so here I am, because I want to call you babies, because that's how I talk to my students. I want you babies to know they ain't doing nothing better. They're not. Some people put up with foolishness for a long time. Some of you did. And so if they stay with the narcissist, hey, nothing you can do about that. That's their choice. But it ain't good. They're not happy. And again, if you care, you'll find out one day. You'll hear about it, but hopefully you're disconnected from those people. The healing for you can move so much quicker when you disconnect from the narcissist and all of their flying monkeys and friends and cousins and uncles and aunties and, all family, all that. Disconnect from those folks. That way you're not hearing anything through the grapevine and you can move on with your life. You might peek, here and there. I get it. We're human. We want to know. We're curious. But you don't have to have conversations with those people, and then you work on not peeking and not caring. I hope that this message was helpful for you. I'm going to put the link below to the video I made before about when I was the new supply. And I told you about what happened in each picture just before I took the picture, and I was smiling, seemed happy. Just like I also have another video that where it was our second date, where he devalued me right there in front of the camera. He held up a sign that said I'm with stupid. And I held up a sign, stupidly, that said, not my fault. Because instead of being embarrassed and showing that my feelings were really hurt, I decided to participate in my own devaluation. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going back to that. So I don't care what's going on in his camp. I know it ain't nothing good. He's nasty, dirty, stinky, funky, slimy, swamp creature, like my friend Joy would say. So his raggedy, dusty behind can be doing whatever he wants to. He never get to touch this again, baby. You can be obsessed all day and night. And see, this is where I want y'all to feel like you can be obsessed. You can look, you can watch, but do not touch, because you might get, boop. Maybe I should cut that part out. But anyway, I'm not playing. I'm not there. I could care less. I already know what kind of person he is. You know what kind of person he or she is. So level up. Live your very best life. I'm not saying it's easy and you're not going to feel pain or think about them every once in a while. You share kids with some of these people, but I can tell you, I have 2 children with one of them, and I don't feel any, it gets to that point. Now, I don't feel anything, like I just really don't. I feel peace, and sometimes I want to knock him out every once in a while. But as far as the feeling of ever want to be in a relationship with either one of these people, I feel like I want to vomit when I think about it. That's how I feel. Seriously. So it's like, oh, touch me, never, ever again. I would rather cut all of my limbs off before dealing with either one of those 2 again, or anyone like that again. So someone throw up those kind of red flags that I dealt with them, I'm out. We don't get any other conversations. I value myself too much, and not in a haughty way, but in the fact that I am a human being deserving of love. You are a human who deserves love. God created you to love and to appreciate love and to care for other people. And so when someone's not reciprocating that for you, they might make mistakes. But if they're not reciprocating that to you, and their foundation is not in love and faith, they're not your person. We're going to make wiser choices. Take good care of yourself. Love yourself. Put God first, yourself second, and others third. You cannot give away what you do not have. Take care, beautiful people. God bless you.